All right, and welcome back to another episode of Sky U Pod. We are joined by two of the Sully podcast, right?
Yeah, the Sully Scoop.
Thank you, Sully Scoop. Sorry, Sully Scoop podcast, Husker fan podcast. We're gonna do our Minnesota versus Nebraska preview episode. First, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself, get your plugs in, um, as I'm sure you guys will have some listens on your episode that you recorded with two of our hosts. So why don't you go ahead and plug your guys' show?
Yeah, so I'm T Sul with the Sully Scoop. The Sully Scoop is we're three brothers, all born and raised Husker fans. So we just kind of and we all disagree about everything. We all have a different side. B Sul's the one drinking all the Kool Aid. I'm kind of half in. J Sul's the one kind of dumping it out. So it really just depends. It changes throughout the season. So it's just good fun that we have there.
Yeah, I'm Bisal. I'm I'm the oldest of the three brothers. Like T-Sol said, I'm with the Matt Rule hire. I've probably been the one who jumped in head first into it. After a couple disappointing seasons with Scott Frost and even Mike Riley before that. Any change is good change, and I think Matt Rule's the first coach we've had really since Bo Pelini, who's come in with kind of a proven track record.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So you're both excited, I assume, about the Matt Rule hire. Nebraska fans, and I mean this mainly as a compliment. You guys get excited online, especially about everything.
Everything.
So what do you think Matt Rule brings differently than say the Scott Frost hire did, which was obviously seen as the home run. I thought it was going to work out too. I really did when you guys hired Scott. Didn't go the way you guys obviously were hoping. In comes Matt Rule. What's maybe a thing that you guys have noticed already that maybe stands out of why this could be, the home run hire for you guys?
So I think the number one thing that jumps out to me, and this isn't a knack against Scott Frost, but I feel like when Scott came in, he really came into an athletic department that really had no identity. You went from Sean Eichhorst, who hired Mike Riley and was really just there as a stepping stone, and then when they let him go and brought in Bill Moose, Moose was only there to, in theory, right the ship. And so he brought Scott Frost in and then immediately was stepping down. And so you kind of got this like uncertainty in the athletic department. And with Matt Rule coming in, you have a proven athletic director and Trev Alberts who, made tough decisions when he was athletic director at University of Nebraska, Omaha. And so he's a guy who's not shy about making the unpopular decision. He's a guy who trusts his decision making and is going to back it up. And so I think Matt Rule likes the fact that he's coming into um, basically an athletic department that's going to have his back and support him and kind of give him the ability to do what he wants to do. And they're doing that with revamping the facilities. They just opened up a new locker room there that the kids are all excited about. And I think it's putting Nebraska back on the map, which is something that Matt Rule had talked about in his first press conference as head coach.
Yeah, for me, I think Beisel kind of went a little too far into it. I mean, all that stuff is great, yay. But for me, I think it's just simple. It's likability factor. As much as we wanted to like Scott Frost, you just couldn't like him. He was just a hard guy to like. He's very arrogant. It's me, me, me. I'm the best in the country. Nobody can touch me. I'm going to make the Big Ten adjust to my game. And guess what? They didn't need to. Matt Rule, he's very good with the media. He's going around town and eating at different restaurants and pumping them on social media and taking pictures with families. Scott Frost, you never heard or saw that from him. He wanted nothing to do with that. So I think that's very important for Matt Rule to do starting off because he's not a Nebraska guy. He's a Penn State boy. So he doesn't have Nebraska ties, but getting the public behind you is the first step because then if you do slip up against Minnesota, like it's not the end of the world, and we start to realize that.
Yeah. No, I was partially sad when you guys hired him just because I've always liked Matt Rule. I didn't follow him at Temple, but I liked what he did at Baylor. Obviously, I was rooting for him in the NFL, and then I think it's a good hire, but I was wrong last time too. So what do I know? But let's stay with Rule one more second here. He's friends with PJ Fleck. How do you guys feel about that fact? Does that make you question the hire at all, or are you guys okay with that?
I don't think it makes me question the hire at all. I think PJ Fleck's kind of proven the fact that he can win. Can he take it to the next level and kind of get over the hump of 9 games? That remains to be seen. I think he's got the foundation built, and I think that's one of the reasons that the two of them get along is Matt Rule's going to come in and put a foundation in place, and so it hopefully that takes Nebraska back to I'd kill to be back to 9 wins this season. Like,
yeah, yeah. I appreciate. I wasn't fishing for flat compliments, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that as Gopher fans. What do we got next year, Sam? What do we got next?
Well, I'm just kind of curious to hear from you guys. Is what do you guys think like or would consider a successful season? Like, what does it take for you to be like, all right, like not necessarily like blow out the water, but enough where you're like, all right, I'm satisfied. This is what I want to see out of Matt Rule's first season. Remember, it's his first season. He still has different recruits coming in. He's changing the system. Like, what? So, with all that in place, what would you consider? What kind of a record are you looking for?
I'll take this one, I guess. For me, a successful season. Looking at the season, like you want to say bowls, you just make a bowl game. But if they go 6-6, bare minimum, and make a bowl game, I am going to be disappointed with that. So I think I want at least 8 wins. And when you look at their schedule, it's totally doable. I mean, if you're going to be a good coach, can come in and win right away. It's not like Nebraska has no talent on the roster. They've recruited well the last couple of years. They just haven't put forth into coaching for plays or on the field or whatever the the misses there. But for me, looking at the schedule, you should be able to pull out 8 wins. I mean, Colorado, Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, Northwestern should be no-brainers. That's 4 there. So you got to be able to beat the teams in your conference to compete. Like, we're not saying go out there and beat Michigan or, beat Wisconsin for the first time in 10 years. That's not what we're saying. But you should be able to pull out 8 wins on this schedule that they have this season.
Assuming Gophs are one of those wins.
And I think we'll be able to tell a lot after, week 1 playing Minnesota. I think that's a kind of a reality check to start the season. I'm probably a little harder of a critic here in what I view a successful season as. This is the best schedule Nebraska's had in the Big Ten coming into it. That it's a very very doable schedule, winnable schedule that if the team can put it together, they should be able to come out here and compete for a Big Ten West title and make it to Indy. I think the West is up for grabs. I don't know that there's anybody who's hands down a favorite. I know a lot of people are picking Wisconsin right now, and I think the hard part is Nebraska is now becoming a run first team again, and Wisconsin's turning around and trying to do a lot of spread offense stuff. And speaking from experience, we know how that's going to work, and it's not great. So I think Wisconsin's going to have a little bit of a reality check there. But the one thing that'll help Nebraska the most here in having a successful season is going to have a head coach who knows how to make halftime adjustments. And that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to with Matt Rule is hopefully, I mean, he's put together a really good staff this year, and hopefully they know how to make halftime adjustments. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah.
Fair.
Completely agree on Wisconsin getting way too much hype, by the way. Some minor part about the Gophers here, the same announcers, media personality that love Wisconsin's overhaul on offense and all the new pieces that they've brought in are also then turning around and questioning the Gophers supposedly like new identity, might be throwing it maybe half the time this year, maybe, we'll see. But like and like now that's the one we got to question, and not Wisconsin, who's just bringing in players from all over the country and just sticking them together and just rolling them out there the first year. They might be good, but I just find it funny. Certain programs just get they just get leeway with that
Benefit
preseason
of the
stuff.
doubt.
But
Yes.
yeah.
I think Fickle's a good coach. I'm still worried about Wisconsin. I don't think that worry is this season though.
Well, I think they're good, but I'm not ready to hand them the West. Like, yeah,
Whoa,
they're the
yeah.
favorite.
No.
They're the favorite.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
everybody's picking between Wisconsin and Iowa, and let's face it. I mean, does Cade McNamara come in and really open up Brian Ferentz' offense? No. I think it's another Petrus. It's a guy who's going to get 5 attempts to throw the ball, and does he turn the ball over? That's what it's going
Yeah,
to come down to.
I think I probably view him a little bit better than Petrus. But I agree. He is more of a, Michigan used him as a game manager. So
Yes.
the problem with Iowa is that defense is so good, you don't need a whole lot from the offensive side of the football. But as far as winning the West goes, but yeah, who knows what Brian Ferentz can do to surprise us all, even with the influx of talent he's brought in this year. I do want to ask you guys, because you guys brought in a new quarterback, Jeff Sims, I believe is his name, out of Georgia Tech. It's probably just because of Georgia Tech's old style of play that they had. They used to run the triple option. So I just view him as a runner already to begin with when I hear Georgia Tech transfer quarterback. What should we expect as Gopher fans seeing Jeff Sims out there on the field Thursday?
So there's a couple things here on Jeff Sims coming in, and I think this is a match made in heaven. Honestly, when he was first coming out of high school, he actually was Matt Rule's top target as a quarterback, and then Rule took the Carolina job, and Sims ended up at Georgia Tech. So that's kind of where it kind of all the dominoes fell right, and he came to Nebraska now. When you see, I mean, even some of these, and I feel like Colorado now saying, oh, if you look at the film from the practice field, I hate saying that, but Sims has a couple, really nice deep balls that he's thrown. And he's doing this with a lot of the younger receivers right now, especially with like Marcus Washington being banged up and really not going to be available for this Minnesota game. But he seems to not be a horrible passer. And bringing in a guy who's a little bit more of a dual threat and probably a more accurate passer than we've had in the past, I'm hoping that it bodes well for success.
Yeah, the thing with Jeff Sims, he's just a very athletic quarterback. Like the game film that you've seen of highlights of him at Georgia Tech is like he outruns everybody on the defense when he has like that little bit of hole, which Nebraska's used to because that's the way that Taylor Martinez was, and Adrian Martinez was a little bit slower than him, but he could still do it if he needed to. But Jeff Sims, he's supposed to be able to throw the deep ball, and that's what Nebraska couldn't do last year with Casey Thompson. But Casey Thompson was a very accurate quarterback, so he could beat you all day long in the middle of the field if you gave him time, and that was Nebraska's issue. They didn't give him time. So that's kind of where it is with Jeff Sims, is how accurate is he going to be on the short to mid-game, and is he going to be able to take the hits or, dodge a couple of sackers, because our offensive line hasn't been great in the past couple of years.
Gut feeling, because I know it's tough to make these calls preseason, because if I'm assuming Nebraska's like Minnesota, they don't show you much at all or give you much of anything preseason to, I know the media could go to like 3 or 4 practices, but even then I think they're running the same plays over and over. And like, yeah, we saw Ethan complete some deep balls, but you don't learn a lot. Just gut feeling, how do you feel about the offensive line this year heading into the season? Is it your guys' biggest question mark on offense?
Most definitely.
See, T-Sol, I would say you know what you're going to get from the offensive line. You're going to get 3 seconds before there's pressure in his face. I think the biggest question mark is the tight end position, especially if Gilbert finally gets that transfer waiver. Really, Nebraska could have one of the best tight end, in theory, if they stay healthy, one of the best tight end rooms in the country there. But like Thomas Fedone, I mean, God bless the kid. He's on his 3rd year in school here and hasn't seen the field once because of 2 knee injuries. So, and seeing him out at practice again, you see the film, you're like, wow, he's huge. He's moving. He's doing this. And it's like, is it going to translate to the game? He's 2 years removed from being in a game. What are you going to see from him? And so I think that's more of my question mark, is what are we going to see from the tight end position? Whereas the offensive line, I think our best player is going to be the transfer Ben Scott at center. And I think the other four, we kind of know what we're going to get. Hopefully they've taken the necessary steps to improve.
But they have changed a couple of things with the offensive line, and so you hope that maybe you had the right players and they just plug them in different places, because right now they have Turner Corcoran plugged in as the left tackle, which last year he was a guard, and our right guard, Newly, if that's how you say his name, he's a German guy. He was suspended all season from PEDs, so hopefully they pay off and he actually learns how to block. And for me, the biggest question mark on the offensive line is our right tackle, Bryce Benhart, was absolute garbage last season. Like every third play, he whiffed on his block. And
Minnesota
they have
native.
him. Yeah, is he?
Yeah, I think so.
But
I just remember losing. We lost him to Frost. I just remember that. Yeah.
But maybe they were plugging him in the wrong spot or doing something, because they have him listed as a starter again. I'm thinking, like, as a new coach, you come in, you see all the film, and I feel like if there's like one or two guys where you see him messing up constantly, that's gonna be the first place you fix, and you go, either he's not playing, or we gotta think maybe the past coaches were doing something wrong. So hopefully it's the latter on that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement. I'm kind of curious because we're kind of hyped about our wide receiver group. What can we expect from kind of your secondary? Is that going to be a strength from your defense, or is that more of a question mark, do you guys think?
I think you guys are playing us at the right time, because one of our best players on the defense is actually not going to suit up because he's still getting over an injury. So he's one of our safeties, Marquez Buford Jr. So you're going to have two new guys playing there. They both transferred in, I think, last season. So they at least been at the program for a year, but with all the new coaching, I don't know if that makes a big difference. But our corners are going to be the bright spot. We have a corner, a senior corner who's been Mr. Reliable for the past 3 years, as much as you could be reliable on our defense. And then we have a sophomore who kind of came out of nowhere last year as a freshman and was really good. So our corners are going to be good. Safeties are up in the air right now as far as covering your wide receivers.
And T-Sol, I think the one part that's hard is, while it is new faces at the safety position, Deshaun Singleton, who's starting in place of Buford Jr., who's hurt, has actually been the biggest hyped up defensive player out of camp this year. They've said he's been hitting harder than everybody. He's been playing the position well. So it is one of those things that, does Buford have his spot when he comes back, or is he going to have to shift somewhere else?
And then, just piling on, is our defensive line is a major question mark. And last year, our defensive line was not so great. So if we gave a quarterback all day long to throw, guess who's going to get beat? The corner, because you can't cover for 10 seconds.
Right.
So that's kind of where it falls into place. They moved a couple guys around, because now we're running a 3-3-5 defense, and they moved our defensive tackle to now an end position, and then they brought up a big wrestling guy from, I think, South Dakota. They call him the Polar Bear, Nash Hutchmacher. So we'll see what he can do at that nose position. Yeah,
it's a great name for defense.
Love it.
Yeah, that's funny. We have, the Gophers brought in probably, I think they brought in 5 transfer defensive back, at least 4, and we still don't know. We have a guy that was at Iowa State, then at Auburn, McDonald. We haven't heard back from the NCAA on his availability yet. It sounds like he was looking good, so he would be a starter, but if he's even eligible to play this year, we don't know yet, because it's a second transfer. But like I said, with the practice being closed, we don't know who that other corner is yet outside of, we have Justin Wally, who he's our shutdown guy. He's our best corner we got. Been pretty good the whole time he's been here. On the other side of him, we don't know who's gonna have that outside spot. So it's interesting. Like, we just, and obviously Fleck's not gonna tell anybody. So I'm curious to see, of all the transfers that we've brought in, who's gonna be out there, because half of them didn't even play in the spring game. So we really don't know what we're gonna see. But yeah, we can kind of transition, I guess, to predictions now. What is your guys' gut feeling Thursday night at the bank Matt Rule's first game. I'm sure Nebraska will be representing. You guys always travel well. What's your guys' score predictions for that one?
Yeah, so we've run through the schedule a couple times here, and everybody that we've brought on has really, they see this game as a one-score game. It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. I think, especially after talking to Spencer and Max, with the changes in the rules, I agree. I think that's gonna, give Minnesota probably an advantage in the time of possession there. I've got the Huskers eking out a win at 21-17. Whether that's a big play touchdown at the end of the game to take the lead or something. I'm just hoping on my side, being selfish, I'm hoping that time of possession isn't as lopsided as it was the last time we played.
Sure.
Yeah, and for me, this game, it just feels like a coin flip game because it's the beginning of the season. We don't know who Nebraska is yet. We kind of have a feeling of who Minnesota is, and so it's going to be a close game. Originally I picked it as a 7-point loss, then I flipped it to a 7-point win. Talk to me in the morning, you might get one answer. Talk to me in the afternoon, you get another. I mean, that's the way it's been. Right now, I'll stick with a win, a 7-point win, but my confidence level is not that high with that pick.
You guys got to go. Can you guys gamble in Nebraska? Are you guys both in Nebraska? Can you sports gamble?
Well, we're in Illinois. We gamble all the time.
Oh,
so yeah.
Well, start laying the money down. I've been waiting for this line to drop below the 6.5 line, and it stayed at 7.5. I'm a little disappointed.
I was going to say I took the 7.5 cover for Nebraska.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
I took 7 and then 7.5. So
okay,
got both.
Well, you're doing your part. I'm on the Gophers. Obviously, Homer. I just think that our question marks for our team might line up a little bit favorably against you guys for the first game. I don't love playing you guys first game. As far as, our offense, we have 3 new interior offensive linemen, but, the right tackle. We have a starter who's transitioning from right tackle to right guard, but everyone that's stepping in is in either like a 5th or a 6th-year guy, so it's not like we're relying on some freshman or sophomore that might be getting pushed around, hopefully, if they've been, testing and all that stuff. So I think we'll still, with Nebraska, I just got to kind of see them shut down the run before I believe it, just because I feel like we've been able to be pretty successful with that so far under Fleck. So I think you guys actually jump out early because, like I said, there's some new faces on our defense, but I like us to come back and not like a comfortable win, but I do think we put it away. I have the Gophers winning 28-17, but being a pretty tight game for the most part.
Yeah, I'm a bit conservative on these kind of first couple of games, always seeing what we ended up improving on and what we ended up just suddenly lacking on. So I think it's more – I'm still with the Gophers, but I'm 24-17. I think it's going to be a close game.
Same exact score. It's just literally, I think that's been the score the last 2 years. I think it's been a 7-point game. Yeah. So it's like, what are the odds they play another 7-point game next year,
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked. I was really nervous when they first announced the schedule opening with Nebraska, just because, like you guys said, it's all new. We haven't seen anything, but PJ has a quiet confidence about this team, it feels, this year. I think he's really high on these young guys on the defensive side of the ball that are stepping up for the first time this year. So as a Gopher fan, I'm going to choose to just buy in and say he knows what he's talking about, and hopefully it's going well. But, he was really high to the COVID year. I think they were feeling pretty good about themselves before it got shut down. And then the COVID season happened, and that was a disaster. So
doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Okay, I'm fine with that. Yeah, but I think we're good. Is there anything you guys want to run by us at all? You guys just talked to Spencer and Max, so I get it if you guys are all good.
I do have one question for you guys. So one thing that happens on our show pretty frequently is T-Cell here likes to throw out these absurd hot takes throughout the season. And so far through the beginning of the preseason here, getting down to it, he's got a couple out there, and one of them happens to be directly impacting your Gophers here. As you know, Minnesota, always hangs tough, especially under PJ Fleck, but they normally will stumble and lose a game that they shouldn't. He thinks one of his hot takes is that PJ Fleck will not make it through the year after Northwestern beats Minnesota. And I just wanted to get your guys' take on that, because I don't see that happening at all.
It's a different T-cell.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like the creativity. I wish I could say like it's impossible, but I can't, because I agree. We do drop games. The Bowling Green loss from 2 years ago was awful. Like it was just inexcusable. PJ, this is supposed to be the big change this year, right? Because we got like these co-offensive coordinators, so it's not supposed to be run 99% of the time. But against those lesser teams, that he was fine just trying to run the ball down their throat and play good defense and hope that was enough. A lot of times in college football, it's not. Upsets happen all the time. So I wish I could say like the Northwestern loss is impossible. Do I have it as a win for us? I do. But it could happen. It could happen, what we see. And there's no way PJ gets fired, though. He could go winless, and PJ would not get fired this season. They just signed him to an extension last year, gave him $1 million raise. They signed him to that rate after the Iowa loss in a game that we dominated and still found a way to lose. So I should say we ran the ball over them and still found a way to lose. Iowa fans get very like, they'll get on me if I just leave it at that we dominate them and still lost. So, I can't see PJ getting fired at all. But I don't see the loss there, but it could. I think a more reasonable game that'll drop that he shouldn't is the Ragin' Cajuns, just because of where it falls in the schedule. It's our homecoming game. It's is it directly after? I think it's directly before the Michigan game. So it's also like an opportunity to look ahead. Homecoming, we've kind of started out slow on that game in the past under him too. So I think that one is my like upset lookout for them.
And that's exactly what Spencer and Max said. They said homecoming and after a bye are like kryptonite. Those are games that you don't even want to watch.
We came out last year. I know Illinois was a good team last year, and I think they'll be pretty good again this year. But we had them after our bye, and it's like our offense didn't even put a drive together until the third quarter. Like we had nothing. We had absolutely nothing outside of Mo. So, yeah, I wish that changed. But I've heard worse hot takes.
Appreciate that. Jay saw the guy who's not with us. Actually, he's rowing the boat right now at his house because he's picking Minnesota to come out on top in the West this season.
I'm picking Illinois. That. I also win Illinois, but the other three, they all win Iowa. So,
guess who B-Saw went with?
Who'd you go, B-Saw?
I've got Nebraska.
Hey, I can't fault you on that. We'll go through and talk through like the smart things of how we think each game's going to play out. Like, so say when the Gophers play Michigan this year, 99% of the time I just throw it, but I got to pick with my heart. I just pick like an upset, just like keep it rolling. Just I've been going to Gopher games for a while. I had season tickets in the Dome days when we were pretty bad. So I've seen a lot of bad Gopher football. So now that we've had some success, I'm not hopping off now. I'm just going to pick us to in pretty much every game. I think we have a fighting chance.
Amen to that.
So,
yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on here. Again, check them out at the Sully Scoop. They are a big Banter Nebraska football podcast. Guys, I appreciate having you on. Look forward to talking to you later throughout the season. And, hey, best of luck Thursday. I hope no team suffers any major injuries. Hoping we pull out the W, but you never know.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, good meeting you guys.
It. All right, take care.
Too.
Thank you to the Sully Scoop for joining us. They were so nice, and we're Minnesota nice. I didn't feel like I could like push buttons to just get them to, and I don't want to start out that way anyways, our first time meeting them. So also check out their episode though, because Spencer and Max joined them on their episode. So you'll get kind of two different listens, which we thought would be a cool idea. and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So check them out, the Sully Scoop. Yeah, you heard their predictions. We gave ours. Spencer and Max, let's get yours quick on the Gophers, since if people are just tuning in this one first and they don't want to have to dig and find yours specifically. Go ahead and give your guys' predictions on how you see this one playing out.
Yeah, we discussed it on their podcast. I think the Gopher D starts off hot this season. I think they just continue where they left off. So I got the Gophers winning 28-13 at home, a solid victory.
We're not too far
And as
off.
I was saying on their podcast, a must win, I think. I think they said it best. A win would be great for Rule and the Huskers, but it's not necessarily a must win, but I think it's a must compete game, if that makes sense for them.
Yeah.
But I think if you're PJ Fleck, it's a must win. And I think they'll do just that. So 28-13.
I like it.
Yeah, I've got to go for W as well, 24-13. A little bit of a closer game. I think it might be a little bit of a slow start. It feels like both teams obviously like to run the ball. The Sully guys actually alluded to it. They've said that, Rule took note of the time of possession difference between Nebraska and Minnesota and how Scott Frost was not able to control the ball against us. So they're expecting Matt Rule to try to kind of use PJ's philosophy against us and try to, sit on it when they have the ball and give their defense a break. And then I kind of talked about it too, that we'll see how much of an impact it will be. I don't really know. I know we had the week 0 games, but
You want the stats right now? It pissed me off.
the
The
clock,
average for those games on week 0 was 3 minutes less of actual football. I don't remember the plays. There was a play amount. So let's place 3 minutes less of actual football, 15 more minutes of commercials.
exactly.
Everyone told us it was going to be not a big deal. Stop messing with college football, folks. The rules are fine. You don't need to keep. It's not the NFL. Just let it be college football. You already changed the overtime. Just let the clock stop for 2 seconds after a first down. It's not a big deal. Although, if PJ keeps running the ball, this rule could help us, supposedly, I guess, if we just keep controlling the
Right.
football. Because it doesn't even, not even the first quarter. It's just the second and fourth quarter, under 2 minutes, it stops after a first down, I think. So, really, it's
Right.
just, I don't like it. But
Yeah.
I don't like change.
Yeah. And if PJ has his way, I feel like he's just going to try to have the, hold the ball for the entire first quarter. He's going to try to, it's so weird how
Yeah.
he loves first, second, and third down. Sometimes it's like he doesn't want to get a first down, but maybe he will now because it doesn't stop the clock. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But yeah, I've got 24-13. I don't think it'll be that close, really. I think we're going to be in control the whole time. Maybe late in the game, Nebraska scores. But I don't know what to expect from their offense. They're going to a pro style offense now with Satterfield, so it'll be interesting.
So Spencer and I are kind of up, like similar score, but different approaches to how the defense starts. I think the defense does kind of take a little bit of time to adjust, just because you don't have a ton of film on what they're doing. Jeff Sims is an explosive athlete, and it's just a lot of new starters up front. I think they're very good. I believe what PJ said, but it's funny because I complain a lot about wanting a pass rush out of the front four. This really isn't the game to do it, because you don't want to lose or at least if you do it, you got to rush responsibly, because if you let him outside, you could be in a lot of trouble just with how good of an athlete he is. So I think they hit us for a couple big plays, not necessarily touchdowns, but I think it's enough to get him within scoring range, and so that's why I have my score at the 28-17 mark. And I think that's 1 point or half a point over. So I might have to readjust that, just because I think that's the style of game, but I think the under is the smart play here. All right. We are going to bring back the first year on video, so it's going to work this year, the Sky U Pod parlay. Now, I don't have the lines up in front of me, but I'm going to assume mine is the same as what it was. It got a little bit dicier, but Utah hosts Florida. I'm sticking with it. Their quarterback might be questionable. I don't care, man. Florida has Graham Mertz coming in. I just don't sense a lot of hype around the Florida program right now. They had a different kind of season last season. They lost Anthony Richardson. I'm going to take Utah to avenge the loss and cover the 6.5 at home against Florida. That's what I'm going with.
Nice. And I like our listeners to know that if they want money, they got to hit this parlay that we got for them. So, I was just looking at some of the lines. There's a lot of good football games, excited for college football, but I'm going to stick with the Big Ten here, and I'm looking at the Iowa Hawkeyes hosting Utah State. We all know that the Iowa defense is probably going to return with a vengeance. I think that their offense will improve a lot, but I think it's going to take time to gel. So, given that and having Utah State at home, I'm going to take the under in this game, under 45 points. I
I
got
like
that
it.
hitting. Yep,
The
under
only
45.
thing I'm scared about is a special teams or multiple defensive scores that blow it up.
That's a fair point. That is a
But
fair
I like
point.
it. I like it.
Yeah, I like both those picks. The Utah Florida game, I think will be good. Hopefully with Florida, with Anthony Richardson being gone, they'll be, take a little bit of a step back offensively. And Utah is always tough. And playing at Utah, I mean, that's one of the toughest places to play every year, it seems like. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me, there's a few games I like that were kind of, not your prototypical matchups, but the one I think I like the most is just Western Kentucky. They're 11.5-point favorites at home against South Florida. South Florida has been one of the worst teams in college football the last few years, and Western Kentucky, time and time again, just pounds team. I mean, they score a lot of points. They're a high-flying offense. They always have a very solid quarterback, and their defense is actually pretty underrated for being, known as an offensive team. So I think at home against a lesser opponent, I think they win by at least 20, but the line right now is at 11.5. So we'll go with the Hilltoppers.
Nice.
I like it. Sam, do you have a game?
I do not. I didn't. I will defer to either one. Right now, I like all these picks that everyone's saying, so I'll defer to you guys. I did not have time to really look into that.
It's all right. First video, the four of us who were not prepared. It's fitting. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I tried. I told you.
Let's see
There's
here.
two more I like. One of them, well, it's
Go ahead,
kind of
Max.
funny.
I don't
on
have the
paper.
lines up, so go ahead.
One of them, it's scary, but Miami plays Miami, Ohio against Florida. Miami, Ohio is a 17-point dog, but the Hurricanes are always underrated. But I don't really know anything about Miami, Ohio. It just seems like a fade against the Hurricanes. But that one I wouldn't be as confident in. The other one I like, though,
scares
is
me.
Louisville's a 7.5-point favorite against Georgia Tech. I feel like Louisville is actually a pretty solid team, and their defense has been good. I know they have a new coach and a little bit of a
Jeff
rebuild,
Brom.
but Georgia Tech is kind of, I mean, they lost their quarterback to Nebraska, who we're be playing, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I liked. But I
What do you
get why
guys
they're
feel?
scary.
I was looking at that Georgia Tech matchup as well.
Were you on the same side?
I didn't know what to think, but I'm confident in Max. I was looking at the Tulane South Alabama game. Tulane's 6.5-point favorites. I think that they will cover that. Personally, I think Tulane. I think should have another solid season. I don't know if they're going to
I
be a
saw
New
them
Year's
picked to be the
Six.
favorite to be that team in a New Year's Six from the non-Power 5 team. So
Right, yeah. I think that they'll be a good team. So, and South Alabama is kind of wishy-washy. So that was me. But again, I don't know.
I was just looking. And I did see the UCLA plays Coastal Carolina, and I do kind of like taking UCLA with a 14.5 point. I know that's a tough one, but I like it.
is Coastal still good? They've been sneaky good.
I know they've been sneaky good, but
You want to say
that usually don't.
Did they?
Yeah,
going.
he's at
Where'd he go?
Liberty now.
Yeah.
What the hell with them? It's Sam's pick. It's his pick to throw in.
I like it.
Let's throw.
I
in
like
here.
the pick, Sam.
That's
I
a long
actually
way to
do like the
travel.
pick. I don't think that. I think that's the way that I would go. So
First
Plus,
game.
Chip Kelly's going to be going for two half the time. I like it. All right. And now I'm also unprepared because we usually go through and pick the bigger games of the week, and I don't have them up. Although we have Utah in there, and Utah's probably one of the bigger week one games. Does anyone have the games up?
I do. And just looking at some of the big games, I know we have a couple of them, but let's just start after the Gopher game. Personally, the first one on my list here, I think that's good. I'm sorry, let me just get this here. Let's start in the Big Ten. We got Penn State going up against Big 12's West Virginia. Penn State's 20.5 point favorites.
I would hammer Penn State. Like hammer. I think West Virginia is not supposed to be very good this year. I think Penn State will just run all over them. Although new quarterback, so maybe he doesn't pan out in his first start. I guess that's the other side of it. But if I had to bet that line, I'd go Penn State.
I would too.
Where are they playing this one at?
It's at Penn State.
Oof.
I think I'm going to go West Virginia. I think that Penn State's going to be a good team, but man, 21 points to start a season.
Yeah.
I'm going to go West Virginia.
Yeah, I'd probably go the Mountaineers too, just because it's such a big line and it is a big rivalry game. It is kind of an underrated one, but those two teams do get,
Right.
it was a good game last year, and Penn State was solid, and West Virginia wasn't all that great. But I know West Virginia is losing a lot of talent offensively, but I'll just take the Mountaineers in the rivalry.
Nice. All right, I got another good matchup, another rivalry game here. South Carolina goes to North Carolina. So North Carolina is actually 2.5 point favorites. So they got the home field advantage. Rivalry game, 2.5 point favorites. I think I'm going to go with the Tar Heels here. I don't know much about South Carolina other than Rattler. I don't believe in him, to be honest. I think Drake May is a better quarterback, and I think that's the difference. So I got the Tar Heels.
That's a great line. Man. I agree Drake May is the better quarterback. I think I just trust South Carolina to be more ready at the start. North Carolina kind of starts a little funky sometimes. Yeah, they'll probably score plenty, but I think they're still looking to see if they can get their best receiver eligible, still waiting to hear back from the NCAA. So I'm going to take South Carolina just because I'm assuming that South Carolina will have a better defense. I think that's the difference.
Yeah. That's where I'm at too. I don't want to take South Carolina. Like I kind of want to root for North Carolina on this, but yeah, I think South Carolina. That if I remember right, and I could be remember wrong, and someone can tell me to shut up if I am, but weren't they kind of had it like turning it on? South Carolina kind of figuring some stuff out later in the season.
They destroyed.
Didn't they beat Tennessee?
Tennessee.
I know they didn't have.
You're right, Sam. Yeah, there's hype behind this team. Team this year.
I'm taking South Carolina.
Yeah, I would take the Gamecocks too. I think they win. I don't know. I feel like North Carolina, they have Drake May, but that's it. I don't know.
That's fair.
They have some dudes other than Drake May, but I get what you're saying.
This is a prequel for when we play them.
All right, I like it.
All right, how many games are we doing?
12. No.
Jesus.
Do a couple more.
Okay, I got two solid ones left.
All right.
This one I'm excited for. It's on Sunday, the 3rd. LSU at Florida State, that rematch. We remember that game last year.
It's the game of the week.
It is.
Yeah.
LSU going there is actually 2.5 point favorites. I think that I got the Tigers here. They'll want revenge from last year. They're excited. I know the camaraderie around that team. Florida State, though, they're going to be a really good team this year. This is a great matchup, but I got the Tigers.
I don't trust Florida State either.
I was going to say, I want to go Florida State, but I just worry about them sometimes when they have a hype. Norvell is a different coach, and they're another team. I know they lost the bowl game, but like at the end of the year, they were trending in the right direction. I like Florida State. Gosh, I'm gonna pick them just because they're getting the points. I'm gonna go Florida State. Florida State defends at home. I think they're both top 8 teams in the country this year, talent wise. That's not that bold of a statement. They're both really good
Yeah.
programs.
Is this one?
I was just trying to think of other teams.
And this one, this one isn't neutral site because didn't they? I know they played in
They
New
played at
Orleans
the
last year, but
Saints.
didn't they play the Superdome?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how neutral that is, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
Oh man, it'll be a great game. My gut tells me Florida State, but I'm gonna go with LSU. I think they're gonna be favored for a reason. I feel like as a program, they're just probably building a little bit more than Florida State is, because Florida State before last year was really kind of on the fritz. I know LSU wasn't any better, but it feels like they turned around more in a quicker amount of time. So
I
I'll
also
take the
trust Chip
Tigers.
Kelly more than Norvell. Like
Right. Yeah.
I know it's cool on the internet to hate on him for being a dork or whatever, but like he's a really good football coach. He wins a lot of football games. Bringing Notre Dame to the playoffs and then also bringing them to the national championship game pre-playoffs, I feel like kind of gets overlooked a little bit when people like to just kind of dunk on him for being a goof, faking his southern accent, which is weird and rightfully so, getting dunked on for that. But yeah, he's a good coach. All right, Shitty, what's your last one?
Oh,
Sam,
Sam,
did you
did you
pick?
go?
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
did. Yeah, no, I did. I said
Yeah.
or I said yeah, I said I'd
He said
take
Texas.
LSU.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good pick. All right. Last one. It's a funny game. It's on Labor Day. Clemson is at Duke. I don't know. Is this a rivalry game? Or
It's a
is
conference
this?
game.
Yeah, it's a solid conference game. So Clemson they are 13-point favorites at Duke. Again, I feel like they got the line solid here. It's a weird kind
Yeah.
of lines. But I got the Tigers. I'm not so sure how they're supposed to be this year, but I feel
Yeah.
like Duke isn't going to be all that great. So I got Clemson.
If I remember right, and I could be making this up from a few years ago, but I think Duke was also looking okay a little bit last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought their defense was okay. Clemson has the new quarterback. He was a freshman last year, won the job. He was up and down. I'm assuming that they have the talents around him to really help him out, and he's got a whole year of practicing to be the starter. So I'm going to take Clemson as well to cover on the road.
I'm gonna take Duke. I don't know why. Clemson, I know offensively, Clemson was weird because they were almost like the Iowa of the ACC, like best
Yeah.
defense couldn't score on them, but they couldn't score themselves. Maybe the new quarterback helps that. I know they have the same running back. I don't know. It may be Duke being weaker defensively, but their offense could score points last year. They're a little bit, they like to pass the ball, but I don't know. Maybe it's Duke's, this is like their Super Bowl week 1 at home. Go Blue Devils.
I like it.
Backdoor cover.
I got Clemson. I feel like it's kind of I don't know, one of those same arguments, like who I trust more to come out and be for the first week. And yeah, I think Clemson's the team.
Yeah. That's cool. Those are really those games are kind of
Yeah.
the exciting ones, I think. Honestly, for week 1 football, it's pretty exciting. We're gonna have a lot of games, fellas.
Yeah.
Lots of parlays to hit. We have to actually place these two. So we'll discuss.
I know we
this
gotta.
on camera.
Yeah, we'll
on
discuss
how we're
that
gonna
after.
do this.
For those of you who don't know, Spencer last year was in New Orleans, so he could just place them for us.
On podcasts too, like during the podcast.
We were like just placing them. We put our money where our mouth was, and it didn't come back. The money didn't
This
come
year,
back in
our
our
goal
pockets,
for
but
parlays is to hit.
I want
There's
90% hit rate.
There's 12 weeks of college. Wait, no.
If you
How many
think about
weeks
it, flipping it from last week, we're due to hit like 68% of the time this year. Like,
I would say
it
at
was bad.
least like 40.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad last year. But don't go back and listen to that. We are going to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sky U Pod. Wait, there's one other thing we wanted to address. It's the defensive coordinator list.
Record scratch.
Yeah. Wait. We see the tweets. We see the Twitter account. Let me just say, we had zero input on that list. All right,
Zero.
none. I was not asked once. Joe Rossi at 10th in the conference. It is asinine. It is unforgivable. I don't know who made that list, so I'm sorry whoever made that. But you should have consulted us first.
Big banter, strike one.
Strike one.
Strike
Our
one.
price tag
and
just
you don't
went up.
get many strikes.
Yeah, our price tag just went up if you want to retain us. So,
Hey, we
That's
have one
it.
of the coolest helmets.
yes.
Yay.
All right. Guys, it's going to be a great game Thursday. I know I'll be watching, tuning in. Spencer will be there. It should be a beautiful night. And yeah, go Gophs, Sky Yuma. Let's get after it this year. Peace.